What's up, y'all? I'm back with another one. This is streamers who've captured their final moments live. So I think this is gonna be a good one. Literally, the suicide things at the bottom. I literally had to put my ID to watch this because it's age restricted. This video might get most likely gonna get age restricted. Let's just get right into it.
Jean Parmenov, real name Raphael Gravin, was once the largest French streamer on Kick, as well as the fourth most watched creator on the platform as a whole. Viewers watched for his rage-filled reactions to losing in different games. And while he started off playing video games, he eventually transitioned
Ooh, I heard about him. I heard about him. Um, I heard that. I mean, I don't know every fucking thing, but I heard that he was getting like harassed and bullied. Like the people he was with was treating him very wrong, very dirty, and was like beating his ass or something. Not saying that that caused the death, but it just caused stress upon him. And I think he had other issues, but I don't fully know. So let's just keep.
into doing more IRL streams, many of which included him hanging out with other French streamers. He was on track to becoming even more famous. And with that goal in mind, Jean and his partners announced their biggest project to date in August 2025, a marathon stream. Put simply, they were going to stream every second of their lives for at least 10 days. And
Anything like that. That sounds
things
terrible.
went just as planned at first, with the marathon lasting over 12 days. But just when it seemed like the continuous stream would never end, a single tragedy brought everything to a halt. Just past midnight on August 18th, Jean went to sleep while still on camera. Not long after that, the stream showed him tossing and turning before calming back down. A few minutes later, a donation alert woke up one of the other streamers, who then tried to get Jean's attention. Jean, however, was completely unresponsive. They quickly ended the stream and rushed Jean to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late. 46-year-old Jean Parmenov had already passed away in his sleep and was officially pronounced dead at around 4 a.m. This was devastating news for the tens of thousands of fans who love tuning into his streams every single day. But as the headlines spread across the internet, more people began looking into the events leading up to the incident. And the disturbing things they discovered made everyone look at it from a different angle. Not as an inevitable tragedy, but a preventable homicide. And it all pointed back to the main two individuals Jean was streaming.
They were literally like just abusing him, doing different shit to get money or whatever, like hitting him at some point, like different shit to get money.
With Owen and Safine. You see, Jean didn't have the best life before becoming a streamer. He was a military veteran, but due to his deteriorating health, he had trouble finding regular work. This forced him to live with his mother with no outside connections. He began streaming in March 2020 as a way to combat his loneliness and make new friends. However, the clips of his over-the-top yet entertaining reactions to losing went viral on platforms like TikTok, allowing him to amass a sizable audience over time. This was a win-win situation for Jean, as he was earning good money while also collaborating with other French creators. And that's where Owen and Safine entered the picture. They not only began streaming with Jean, but also formed an entire content strategy around making him angry and recording his reactions. Now, it can be argued that, at least by this point, Jean was in on the scheme. He knew the audience wanted to see him burst out in entertaining ways and leaned more into that character. However, things took a darker turn once he moved in with the two to make IRL content. As people were going through his old streams and videos after his death, they discovered hundreds, if not thousands of instances of Owen and Safine getting physical with Jean. And
just
it wasn't something lighthearted and fun. Now, I can't show the vast majority of these instances or describe what happened in them on YouTube due to just how graphic and abusive they are. All I can say is that Owen and Safine's harassment included everything from rather harmless stunts like breaking an egg on his head to acts that could be potentially life-threatening. This type of behavior was a consistent part of their streams, where they essentially treated Jean as a living punching bag. And the marathon stream was also more of the same, with everything tuned to the max to increase shock value and by extension their viewership. So, when Jean tragically passed away on stream, many on the internet pointed fingers at the two behind it all, Owen and Safine. People argued that his already frail structure was made significantly worse by the constant stress he was under from the two. Worst of all, they seemed like they were well aware of this, as just days before his end, they made Jean declare on
They probably didn't give a fuck because they was making money and shit. They probably give one fuck. They probably wanted the attention. They knew they was making more money. They knew they could use him.
Stream that if anything were to happen to him, it wasn't their fault.
Ouais, alors que. Ah, ah non, à moins qu'ils fassent caméra là maintenant, que si demain il meurt en plein live,
But
c'est
not
dû à son état de
tomorrow.
santé de merde et pas. Je dis face caméra que si demain.
You have bad health. So if you know he has bad health, why are you? This is what I'm saying. Like they know his condition. They know he got problems, and they continue to stress the man out. They knew what was going on.
Tu meurs sur scène. C'est dû. Ben oui, comme Dalida a dit.
S'il m'arrive quelque chose en live, que ça vient pas que ça vient pas d'eux.
The online backlash also sparked an investigation into Jean's death. According to Owen's lawyer, everything they did to Jean on stream was consensual and nothing more than an act for the sake of entertainment, stating, "There were things that were scripted, there was improvisation, there were shots that were simulated. What you see on the screen is not the reality of what was being experienced." The autopsy report also concluded that the cause of Jean's death was his own poor health and that there was no foul play. But in the eyes of the thousands following this case, his health only deteriorated to this point because of how the other two treated him over the past 3 years. That said, the investigation is still ongoing, and for now, it's unclear how it will end. Valeria Marquez was a 23-year-old Mexican model, businesswoman, and digital creator from Jalisco, Mexico. She showed interest in the world of beauty and fashion.
Hold up. Why do I know of her too? I believe she's the girl that was on live and someone came in and shot her.
From an early age, and following her dream, managed to receive the title of Miss Rostro in 2021. The fame from this title allowed her to open her own salon named Blossom the Beauty Lounge.
I don't know if someone's trying to rob her or I don't know. She was calm at first. It seemed like someone was trying to get at her or something. Like someone knew of her or they were trying to rob her and then they shot her in the head on live.
In Jalisco, as well as kickstart her online career on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. In addition to posting her latest modeling photos, she also streamed on these platforms almost every day from her salon to share beauty and fashion with her viewers. Things were looking good for Valeria. She amassed over 320,000 followers across both platforms, with her eyes set on even bigger goals. However, before Valeria could realize these dreams, her life was cut short in an incident she had no way of anticipating. On the afternoon of May 13, 2025, she went live on TikTok as usual. But just as she was about to start talking about new fashion and beauty tips, she was interrupted by a delivery. Someone had apparently sent her a stuffed animal as a gift. She returned in front of the camera to show it off, but was interrupted once again by the delivery driver asking her to confirm her name. She then muted the stream to talk to the delivery driver, but
that was a setup then. So if the delivery driver gives you the gift, the shit, and then they ask you what's your name and shit, and then you muting it because maybe you trying to put more information that you don't want everybody to know, and then they popped you. Like that shit, that's like a setup. Like someone planned for her to get got. That's what it seems like. Cause she like had her guard down. It's like someone like came in blazing. So I RP to her. It's just a sick thing to go through.
As soon as she did, the guy pulled out a firearm and fired multiple shots at Valeria. By the time medics arrived, Valeria had already passed away. The killer had also fled the scene without a trace. The only clue police had to identify him was a single second of their voice that was broadcast live through Valeria's stream.
Hola. Sí.
Unfortunately, that hasn't been very useful. The police still haven't identified the perpetrator at the time of writing. That said, people on the internet have come up with a number of theories trying to crack this case. The most prominent suspect in these theories is a man named Ruiz Velasco, who is a high-ranking member of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. He was apparently in a romantic relationship with Valeria when the incident occurred, which could explain a potential motive. Some people also noted that soon after the shooting, a girl who worked at the salon picked up Valeria's phone to end the stream. This was highly unusual behavior for someone who had just witnessed her boss and possibly a friend become the victim of a violent attack.
Maybe her homegirl, that bitch, and her nigga has something to do with it. Because women begin they man to do a lot of killings. I did a reaction with one bitch. She got her nigga to kill her husband. She had her boyfriend kill her husband. That's it. I could see her like, oh, I don't like her. Maybe trying to get assets. Don't like she's jealous. So she get her boyfriend to kill him. I could see that.
Where instead of calling an ambulance or police right away, her first instinct was to turn off the live stream. This odd behavior has led many on the internet to point her out as a possible accomplice of the killer. That said, there isn't any evidence to confirm or deny these theories for now, and the police haven't made much progress either, leaving Valeria's case unsolved for the foreseeable future.
She did not deserve that.
Brian Vignault, also known as Pashibrid, was a decently popular World of Tanks streamer with over 7,000 subscribers. He started streaming back in 2012 and slowly built a loyal following for himself. The thing his viewers loved most about Brian was his consistency. He streamed multiple times each week without taking any breaks, with many of these streams reaching double-digit hours. In addition to being a dependable streamer, Brian was also extremely charitable at heart. He raised over $11,000 in charity over the years for veterans and notable organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. On the night of February 19, 2017, he was doing another one of his charity streams for the Make-A-Wish.
This is what I don't know. I don't know about this guy, so now I'm gonna smoke to that.
Foundation. Now, usually when streamers do charity streams, they set certain incentives, like shaving or dyeing their hair at certain milestones. Brian, however, took a different approach and promised a continuous 24-hour stream to his audience instead. The plan worked as expected, allowing him to gather over $2,400 from his audience by the 20-hour mark. He also pledged to donate $500 of his own money in addition to all the donations.
That seems
However,
like a lot,
just
though.
as the long stream was about to end, something happened that no one could have anticipated. At around the 22-hour mark, Brian stepped away from the camera for a short smoke break, but he never came back. His audience, however, wasn't worried one bit. You see, Brian had already done multiple nearly 20-hour streams that week and was running on fumes during
that week. He already did 24 hours that week. It's hard to make up on lack of sleep. It's hard to make up on lack of sleep. And then it goes beyond 24 hours. This man seems, not this man, but he seems like a person, he says very consistent, he does long hours in the double digit, 11 hours. You probably don't have a good sleep schedule in general. So you're probably not getting good sleep in general. Now you're doing 25-hour streams, not back to back, but the same week, 2 times out of the week. That's doing too much. That's doing way too much. That's overworking yourself like crazy. It's like your body needs to fucking rest. Your brain never gets a break, ever. Your brain never gets a fucking break. The only break your brain gets is when you go to sleep. And mind you, your brain still has to keep you alive because it has to pump that heart, pump the blood, make sure you breathe. It still has to tell your body to make sure things are working. Keep your heart beating. It's telling your body to do that, your brain. So it never gets a fucking break. One thing about it, when it comes between the brain and the heart, that shit never gets a fucking break. Ever. Ever. RP to him, dude. Like, he literally overworked his body.
The charity stream. He was constantly dozing off and jolting awake as the 24-hour mark got closer. He was also just 35 years old and had no major medical issues.
His body is
So, when he left the stream and never returned, most assumed that he'd likely just fallen asleep. Sadly, that couldn't have been further from the truth. The reality of what happened to Brian came out a day later when one of his moderators saw that he was active on Discord. They sent him a message asking about the end of the charity stream and if he was okay, but the person who replied from his account wasn't Brian. As it turned out, seconds after getting off camera, Brian collapsed and never woke up again. He was rushed to the hospital, but sadly did not survive. The person who responded to the moderator was a detective, combing through Brian's messages in hopes of finding a clue about his otherwise mysterious death. Though the reason was fairly obvious to some of his fans. Put simply, Brian's death was likely the result of days of exhaustion and lack of sleep. Usually, someone this tired would fall asleep automatically, waking only after their body had gotten the rest it needed. But in rare cases, like for Brian, the fatigue could prove fatal and strike seemingly out of nowhere. The only silver lining in Brian's tragic end was that his fans banded together and raised over 19,000 Canadian dollars for his wife and 3 young children. And
and he had a whole fucking family. You was doing this, dude.
Amount of money can replace the presence of a father. This sum likely helped his family during their greatest time of need.
RP to him, dude. That's so sad.
On August 31st, 2020, Ronald McNutt, better known as Ronnie, went live on Facebook.
I do know about Ronnie McNabb. Yeah, now I see why the suicide thing is down below. Yeah, he killed himself on live. I remember that was spread all around not high school. That was spread around TikTok. And then I seen it. I was in high school when I seen it. Shit like that.
Facebook. He streamed on the platform quite often and even had a small but dedicated fan base. These streams usually covered topics like comics, movies, and other pop culture stuff, as Ronnie had been a big fan of superhero media since childhood. And this stream looked no different at first glance. What none of the viewers...
Bro, when I was in high school, I seen the fucking footage, dude. I remember that shit. I didn't even think the shit was real at first. I'm like, is this real? Is this real? Like, my brain couldn't even, like, come up with, like, what the fuck was going on. It was fucked up. It was very fucked up. I feel bad for him. I feel bad his mom was in the stream. I think his ex-girlfriend was in the stream. It was yeah, he's probably been struggling for a very, very long time. Very, very sad.
Tuning into this particular stream knew, however, was that they were about to become witnesses to a horrific tragedy. And while the incident itself seemingly came out of nowhere, the path leading up to it did not. Ronnie was born on May 23, 1987 in New Albany, Mississippi, and had a fairly ordinary childhood. Growing up, he had a normal school and social life, and like many other teenagers of that era, developed an interest in comic books as well. However, things changed when he decided to join the army in the mid-2000s. And after finishing his training, went on to serve the US in the Iraq War in 2007 and 2008. The war unfortunately took its toll on Ronnie. He developed severe post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, from the atrocities he witnessed during deployment, and became a fundamentally different person. As his close friend Josh Steen later described, "He didn't seem to be the same guy that left for Iraq once he exited the service. I spent many a late night in our studio via text message and in person talking with him about life and his struggles." However, despite suffering from PTSD and depression, Ronnie tried his best to be the jolly guy he always was. He also spent much of his time raising awareness about the issue and trying to help other veterans who'd gone through the same experience as him. And when he wasn't advocating for veterans' mental health, he was working hard to get his life back in order.
I'm actually glad I'm hearing this, because I never knew his best. I didn't know of him going to be in the veteran. I didn't know that. But this other shit I didn't know. And I'm kind of happy that I'm able to, know his background and see what the fuck's going on with him, because he's still a fucking person. And it's just, because all my memories has is just that video and just being in high school, being with my friends and shit and seeing it with them and just the gore of it and that, but not knowing who he is as an actual person, So I'm glad I'm getting to hear this.
With advocating for veterans' mental health, he was working hard to get his life back in order, starting with getting a job in the local Toyota factory and also starting a relationship. His streams on Facebook, as well as his Just Us Geeks podcast with Josh, were also a part of his plan to regain some semblance of normalcy. The goal was to rekindle the love for superhero media he had before his military deployment. Fortunately, these efforts paid off, as Ronnie managed to settle into a fairly normal life over the next decade. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. You see, according to those closest to him, Ronnie never received any professional help for his psychological struggles. To him, toughing it out was the best way forward. Sadly, there's only so much pressure the human mind can bear before it reaches complete hopelessness. For Ronnie, things began spiraling in August 2020. It started with him posting about missing his father on what would have been his 69th birthday on August 14th. Sadly, his father had passed away back in 2018. A few days later, he was fired from his job due to the pandemic. And if that wasn't bad enough, his girlfriend also broke up with him not long after. Ronnie might have been able to endure each of these incidents on its own, but facing them all at once proved too much to bear, resulting in him making the tragic, irreversible decision to end it all. On the 31st of August, he went live on Facebook with a firearm by his side. His friend John was one of the early viewers and quickly realized what was going on. He immediately called the police and also rushed over to Ronnie's house. In the meantime, he also contacted Facebook, hoping to get the live stream taken down before anything happened. Facebook, however, refused to take the stream down, stating that it did not violate any of their policies. Josh also tried to call Ronnie himself, but he did not answer. A few minutes later, Ronnie received a call from his ex-girlfriend, who was likely prompted by others to reach out. Sadly,
Yeah.
this call led to a brief argument between the two,
That
resulting
is
in
what did
Ronnie
it.
saying his final words. The cops were already outside, preparing to speak to Ronnie through a megaphone. Unfortunately, neither they nor Josh was able to reach him in time. The stream also kept going for minutes afterward, giving people plenty of time to record and spread the aftermath of the incident
Sure.
across the internet. Platforms like Facebook and TikTok came under fire for not controlling the spread of the footage in time. Though, as more people became aware of Ronnie, looked him up online, and reached his Facebook profile, they were greeted with his somber final words in a final post reading, "Someone in your life needs to hear that they matter, that they are loved, that they have a future. Be the one to tell them."
It's so sad. I repeated, everyone involved, everyone in this video is so fucking sad. But yeah, I'm out. Peace.